So welcome everyone to our Nurses Networking Outside the Box event. As I mentioned, we've got a jam-packed evening tonight. And so we'd like to go ahead and get started with our introductions. You know how it goes in networking meetings. What's the value of networking? It's not only getting to know people, but making sure that everybody knows the value that we can offer them, right? And we want to know about you. So we're going to go ahead and start going around the room, if you will. And I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about, you know, what it is that you do and how you got involved, how you heard about us. And as you're done sharing, I'd love for you to post in the chat section. If you've never joined a Zoom call before, if you go to the bottom of the screen, there's a little button that's called a chat. And you click on there, and we would love for you to share, you know, whatever contact information you want us to have so that we can connect back with you. So a little bit about me. I am actually a nurse practitioner by trade, a health coach now by choice and by life. And so now what I do is I help people achieve the things they want in their life, whether it's in terms of their physical health or their financial health, their career health, that type of thing. And I'm so excited to have David with us. David has been instrumental in our Nursing Outside the Box group. He is our resident business skills nurse. And so David, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
You bet. Thanks, Donnie. And thanks everybody for being here today. It's a pleasure to be here with you all virtually. And for those of you that are watching the recording, you missed out on a big party here live. We have an action-packed session, as Donnie said, but we love to be able to exchange contact information, just the whole networking thing. It really, participation equals results. When you get a chance to share your contact information with other nurses and they know more about what you do, it just spreads a whole lot faster. So I really encourage you next time to join us live. But I work as a certified health and business coach, and like Donnie, I'm passionate about helping nurses to get outside the box, not only in their vocation, but also in their comfort zone. So I work a lot with individual healthcare professionals and help them to integrate health coaching into their life, whether it's on a part-time basis and working with some patients in addition to their full-time career in healthcare, or actually choosing plan B and moving traditionally or outside the traditional box and working with individuals on a client basis inside of a private health coaching practice. So thanks, Tony.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and let's see here. Elizabeth was on next. So let's go ahead and have Elizabeth. You can go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit. We're going to go ahead. Okay. I think that I'm unmuting you as you're unmuting yourself. Are you on?
Yes. Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Scala. As you can see, I'm a podcaster with my microphone. I live in Maryland. I'm a nurse in, not really nursing, I would say, actually talking to one of my mentors this past week. He's like, no, you were an entrepreneur first and a nurse just additionally. So my background was in psychiatric nursing. I've had my business for about 6 years now. I help nurses with burnout. I give talks. I've written several books. I've hosted my podcast. And I just really value fun, independence, freedom, and being yourself. So I feel a lot of times we're stuck in what I'll talk about later about burnout because we're not able to use our gifts and talents at work. So thank you for having me.
We're so thrilled to have you. It's a treat for us. So thanks. All right, so let's see here. Next, we've got Norma. Norma, you're up. I'm going to unmute you here. Oh, you're unmuted. Go ahead. No? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. This is so exciting to me because I have been looking for a group of nurses like this, or wishing for it, for a long time. I'm actually retired from nursing. I spent 25 years essentially with end-of-life hospice nursing. And at the time, I loved it. I was totally immersed in it. And of course, I had a lot of burnout too during different periods of time. And when I retired to take care of family. So when that phase of my life was over, I discovered health coaching. And now I'm taking care of people before they let the diseases progress to the point where they need hospice. So it's totally opposite end of the spectrum, and I just absolutely love it.
Awesome. Well, we're thrilled to have you with us, Norma.
Thank you.
And next up, we've got Matt. Let's see if we can hear him. Nope.
Okay, I should be unmuted now. Right.
It's still a little choppy.
Try to call in, Matt, using the call-in information underneath the audio section. Switch to audio by phone and try calling in with your cell phone if you can.
All right. While he does that, we'll go ahead and move on to Todd.
Yeah, it's freezing up. Can you hear me?
No, it's choppy. Do you know how to get to the phone number so that you can dial in?
I'll put it in the chat section.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. All right, Todd, you're up.
My name is Todd Angelucci. I've been a nurse for over 20 years. I was looking at it recently. And I did pretty much everything in nursing, ICU, and floated all around the hospital, long-term care. And early on, I got burned out. And so I found some pretty unique opportunities to use my nursing skills in other areas. And then found health coaching with Donnie, which has been fantastic, and doing that part-time. And looking to do that full time. So it's been a great journey, and it's been good stuff.
So, Elizabeth, are you noticing a recurring theme? I'm sorry?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure that kind of is probably what led you to, get into the burnout, right? I'd love to hear more about that. Let's see if Matt has been able to get in so that we can hear from him. If not, we will actually just go ahead and move on to Elizabeth. Nope.
Did David go?
Yeah, he's not there.
I'm here.
Yeah. No, Matt's gone, right?
Yeah, I'm going to message him the information on message.
Okay. So don't forget, guys, to go ahead and put your contact information out on the side here. I'm curious to see what states are represented as well. And so, Elizabeth had a chance to introduce herself a little bit, but I did want to tell you a little bit about her. Basically, she's on a mission to shift the profession of nursing from the inside out. And individuals typically enter the nursing career with the desire to provide, compassionate, heart-focused care. But then we get caught up with all the financial pressures and all the regulations. And some nurses sometimes will have a hard time balancing the art and the science of nursing. And Elizabeth has written several books. And she's a podcaster. She hosts a Nurses Week online program. She inspires nursing teams. She speaks on leadership levels to help nursing teams to reconnect with their passion and their joy in nursing. So Elizabeth received her dual master's degree from Johns Hopkins University. She's also a certified coach and Reiki master teacher. She lives in Maryland with her husband and her puppy. What's your puppy's name, Elizabeth?
Rusty.
Rusty. And when she's not speaking to or teaching other nurses, you can find her enjoying nature or relaxing on the beach or doing yoga. And today she's going to share with us a little bit about how to get back in touch with yourself and avoid burnout. That is a very popular topic in nursing, and I'm so excited to have Elizabeth on. I've been looking for somebody to talk about this for at least a year. So I'm so excited that Elizabeth and I connected and that she's was willing to come on and share with us. So Elizabeth, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I am in the winter weather area. I have my computer hardwired into the actual wired internet. So I noticed before I got a little stalled out when Todd was introducing himself. So I hope my internet stays on top of it, but just like wave your hands like crazy if you can't hear me. And I also will say another caveat before I start talking. I have two screens, one with what I'm going to talk about and then the other to see you all. So if you see me looking back and forth, but just wave your hands furiously if I freeze up or something. So thank you very much for having me. I met Donnie at the National Nurses and Business Association conference last year in the fall and have been in touch since. And I think that this group you have here, this networking, this is what we need. We need support, especially as we go towards our goals, and especially in nursing, we need support because a lot of times, even though we're in this profession of millions of people, you can feel a little bit alone. So I'm going to briefly talk about burnout, but then we'll do an exercise that I think will be more applicable to this group, particularly since listening to everyone introducing themselves, we're not really all practicing in the hospital setting anymore. We're not just working with patients, as employees. So I will do an exercise that hopefully can help us as nurses outside the box, as nurses, as business owners, and that kind of thing. So first off, really quickly, I do give talks about burnout. So I have tons of slides and research, statistics related to nursing and several professions. So what I talk about here, what's interesting is you can, go talk about with teachers and social workers and physical therapists, or even accountants may want to hear about being burned out in their profession. Because what happens is we get tired, we get unhappy, we feel like we're not making a difference anymore in our jobs. So that being said, that's sort of the introduction often to when I bring up the topic of burnout, is to talk about the Maslow burnout inventory, which Christine Maslow and other researchers went into an organization to look at to measure the engagement of employees. And what they found was quite opposite. They found burnout in the employees at these organizations, which led them to develop the Maslow burnout inventory scale, which I'm not going to go into great detail, but just let you know there are three main components of it. And the first component is being exhaustion, physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, just being tired of going to work every day because of stress and overwhelm. The second component of that burnout inventory, the main burnout inventory scale, the second component is called depersonalization. So you're starting to think of people kind of cynically. You might start to resent your clients or patients, like, oh, this person, they're just not doing any work anymore, and kind of get a little sarcastic about the work that you're doing. And that can totally happen in nursing as we're trying to help people with their healthy lifestyle and behavior choices, and they're just not getting it. It's like we're beating our heads up against the wall. So that can often lead to burnout. And then the third, which is what I really want to focus on this evening, again, to do sort of a quick exercise with y'all, is about the lack of efficacy. Coming home from work or ending your day as a business owner and just saying, like, what's the point? Am I making a difference anymore? Am I bringing value to this workplace? Am I serving a purpose? And sometimes we lose touch with that purpose because we're on track for something that other people may have set up for us to do, or what we think we should do because of, watching other business owners or things like that. So those are the three main components of burnout. And I do want to focus on that third one, the what's the use? What's the point? Like, am I making a difference anymore? When as Donnie alluded to, me doing this work was because of my own burnout, as we've heard other people talking about. But I burned out very quickly in under 4 years' time and left nursing altogether and left it to try to find something else. But I didn't really have a focus for what I wanted. And I find that happens a lot, where a nurse is unhappy or a professional is unhappy in a job they're in or career they're in, and they're running like away from something, right? They're not running towards what they actually want, but they're running away from something that's not satisfying or that they're not happy with. So what I want to do is talk about this a bit and do this exercise with y'all, just to help everyone on the call and then people watching the recording really get clear on resonating with or aligning with their true values, showing up as your true self. Remember when I introduced myself, I said, well, some of that burnout is, we're not showing up ourselves in our jobs. So we're going to do, if you have paper, pencil, your computer, just something to take notes on. I like to do this exercise, and it's kind of fun because I'm going to kind of put a time pressure on you, but that I've learned when you give people, you're going to have just this amount of time and go, the mind gets thinking quick, and I just want you to make a long list. So are you ready for the exercises, everyone? Yeah. Okay, I'm looking up. All right. Okay, so the first one on the top of the page, you would write, I don't want. And now, thinking about your career, it's I don't want to be, I don't want to have to, I don't want to do, I don't want to work with, just any of your don't wants in your business, in your job, and whatnot. And I'm going to give you 60 seconds. So ready, set, begin. Alrighty. So wrapping that up.
Another 3 hours.
Yeah. I know. All right. So wrapping that up just for the purposes of time here and for the exercise. So what you're going to do now is underneath is the exact opposite. What I find when I've been in focus groups, I've also worked as a nurse researcher. I get to interview people. And so what I find is when you ask them what they want, they kind of have this blank stare, this glaze over eyes, because it's kind of hard to articulate that. So what we're going to do is look at your don't want statements and write down the exact opposite. So let's, for example, if I don't want to show up nervous to a keynote speech, what I do want is to show up with energy, enthusiasm, and spunk and vitality. So what you're going to do is for each of your sentences, if I don't want X, what I do want is Y, the exact opposite. And what you want to do is do the first thing that pops in your mind. Don't let your rational thinking say that'll never happen. Don't let your logic say, well, you don't have money or time for that. Just write down the exact opposite, because the third step is going to help us get there. So again, 60 seconds. If I don't want X, what I do want is Y.
Who just joined us at the 907 area code?
Oh, that's Jesse Pilcher.
Hi, Jesse Pilcher. This is David Bush and Donnie Alvarenga. We're right in the middle of a little workshop of writing all the things that we want to do down on a sheet of paper. So we'll be back online here in just a second, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, and again, sorry to interrupt you. I know you need more time, but again, it's for you can go back and finish up with your list, but just to get, again, as I said, I used to do this on some conference calls I used to host monthly, and the speed of it and the exercise is to get us thinking as fast as much as we can. So the third component is, so you didn't want to be nervous at a keynote talk, and if you did want the exact opposite, was to show up with vitality and energy and enthusiasm. But your mental mind is thinking, but you've never given a keynote talk before and you're kind of nervous and you're not sure if you can do it. Okay, that's fine. The third piece, the third part of this exercise is for those sentences that were the exact opposites, those do wants. That's why I asked you not to censor yourself and not to overthink it, is because you insert the words I choose to in front of it. So again, example, I don't want to be nervous at a keynote. If I don't want to be nervous, then I do want to show up with energy and enthusiasm. So what you would say is I choose to show up with energy and enthusiasm at a keynote talk, let's say. So you insert the words I choose to in front of these, and that then becomes your intentional statements. Now, I have used this exercise to get really clear on what I want in terms of my business. Again, talking about burnout earlier, sometimes we leave a job or we leave a business venture or we leave a partnership and we're running away from what we don't want. And then we find the grass is not always greener. We're in a new job. It's the same stress. It's the same anxiety, and we're still unhappy. So what I want to instill in you is that we need to be running towards the things we want. We need to be pulling ourselves towards our wants. And even if we have doubt or worry or self-criticism or judgment, by putting those words "I choose to" in front of it. And then the fourth piece is really homework to take that list and practice it. So what I've done in the past with this, Donnie mentioned I host a program for Nurses Week called The Art of Nursing. So that program, I have to call up C-suite, executive level nurses, the VPs, the CNOs, that kind of thing, and have sales calls about a good amount of money, which can be nerve-wracking as a business owner. So I literally did this exercise and say, I choose to show up to these calls with self-confidence. I choose to know my program provides value. And literally, and this was like 3 years ago, I looked in the mirror with this list every day and I read it to myself, looking myself in the eye, and begin to believe it. So my point here is to show up in the career as your best self. We kind of have to change our thinking and our mindset about it. So that's kind of the homework for the last piece, because we don't need to make the list right now. What you would do is take all those want statements, put the "I choose to" in front of it, and then practice. So I realize that's taken about 12 minutes of time, and Donnie and I talked about 10. Does anyone have any questions or comments about anything that I've shared with you?
I've got a question. When it comes down to choosing what you want to do, for those people who do not have complete control over what they choose to do, and they're given a job description, can a nurse find a newfound freedom inside their current role, even if they're feeling a little burned out right now, by choosing to look differently at their circumstances? Or what would you say to that nurse that doesn't necessarily want to leave their job, but wants to find new joy and not be burned out?
Absolutely. Another component of the work that I do is talking about mindset shifting. So in the book I wrote, Nursing from Within, I talk about a 4-step process to help you shift your mindset. And I really believe that, sometimes the options are you stay in a job and you stay miserable. You decide to leave a job, or you stay in that job and you change how you show up in that job. So I think doing that exercise is, I don't want to be around unhappy coworkers, let's say. If I don't want to be around unhappy coworkers, what I do want is a team that supports and energizes me. And then you would say, I choose to see my team as supportive and energizing, because it's about how you perceive how you show up in the workplace. So you have to take accountability over that. You have to take responsibility and say, I choose to see my team as supportive and energizing. Now, if they don't ever change based on how much effort you put in, maybe you need a new team, and that would be a change in workplace. But yes, if you want to stay in the same job, it's about how you perceive the job and how you show up. It's your responsibility for sure.
Great.
That's awesome, because oftentimes we do look at people and, the people we work with, the people that we live with or whatever, and we look at them through this filter. And sometimes we don't even see that filter anymore. But, by consciously choosing to choose our filter, right, we can definitely change our mindset. And so the circumstance doesn't necessarily change, but our perspective of it does. And so it absolutely changes. That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And I think burnout is certainly twofold. I mean, this PowerPoint that I have in front of me is like a 90-minute slide deck, and so obviously don't have time. But one of the examples is it's a twin strategies type thing. So you as an individual need to have strategies, but then the organization that you find yourself working for or with, they have to support that. So again, you do everything you can on your part. And again, if you're shifting some of your perspective and what kind of goggles you're wearing as you're going to work, that can help it. But if the organization, really isn't into well-being, resilience, self-care, having a healthy and healthy workforce, then there's changes. But it definitely is a twofold process. Individuals need to step up and take ownership, as does organizations need to support people at work.
I like the idea about how you were talking about just those three different aspects, about the physical exhaustion aspect, the depersonalization, and the lack of efficacy, because all three of those things can actually be self-controlled. Mm-hmm. You can actually improve your health and well-being, where right now you may be physically exhausted because you're not taking good care of yourself. And then you've got the depersonalization, that's something perspective-wise you can reframe and change the way that you're approaching your work. And then the lack of efficacy, a lot of us get into the measurement mindset versus the mission mindset. And if you move from measurement mindset to mission mindset, why am I doing what I'm doing? And am I focused on my personal mission and my personal purpose? And oftentimes you can accomplish that even if you're not getting those amazing results that you want in your private practice or inside your nursing career. Yeah. Donnie, you want to talk about the opposite side of a person that tries to find more fulfillment or tries to eliminate the burnout and still stay plugged into their career, and transition into the idea of people that were ready to get outside the box?
So, Elizabeth talked about different options, right? And as you're deciding what is it that you want, I absolutely think this is such a perfect segue to what we're talking about, because we want to help people go towards what they want. And Elizabeth is so spot on that a lot of times people, they know what they don't want, but they don't really know what they do want. And, that one of the reasons that we wrote this book, right, David, in terms of nurses finding more flexibility, purpose, and balance, is because just in me being surrounded by nurses, I keep hearing it over and over and over. And I kind of identified that those are some of the things I was looking for. And so we're excited to kind of share with nurses how it is that they can find out if that's what they're looking for, if that's where they're wanting to go. And, as I was looking at my statements, that book came from inside of me, right? From my experience. And what I wanted was, I didn't want to ask for permission. I didn't want to ask anybody for permission for what to do with my time. I just wanted to do with my time what was important to me. I wanted to, if my kids are sick, I want to be home with my kids. That's what's important. I don't want to have to ask permission. And that's a flexibility, right? So we're excited to talk a little bit about the book and about just the idea of how wellness can be an option for nurses that are looking for that.
Great. Well, in terms of the concept of moving in from or out of burnout or out of a situation that maybe you're not completely fulfilled in and into this idea of wellness, let's talk a little bit more about what is professional health coaching, because in a nurse's terms, Donnie, explain what the health coaching role is and how it relates back into the healthcare field.
So a health coach is a professional that facilitates behavior change. So it's kind of like a lifestyle consultant, if you will. And so what we do is we support people in their environment to make the changes that will support their goals. So, Elizabeth was just talking about the mindset shift that is required for us to start moving towards what we want. We do that with our clients in terms of their overall health. And there's many different aspects to health. And whatever aspect of health is important to each of our clients, that's where we want to help them go. And so as health coaches, when you think about a coach, and David, you probably could speak to this better than I can as a professional athlete, right? What is the role of a coach?
Yeah, I like to use the definition of a stagecoach. As a stagecoach took a person from wherever they were to wherever they wanted to go. And a coach doesn't take somebody that doesn't want to go somewhere to someplace. They take people that want something and help them to go get it. And they meet them where they're at. They don't tell them to come to where they're at. They come to them and they find out where they're at, where they want to go, and then they help them take them there.
Yep. So that's what a health coach does. And when you think about what a nurse does, right? A nurse is a patient advocate and wants to take the patient to a better health point. And so therefore, a nurse is a health coach.
Yeah. And working with a bunch of nurses, I found that most nurses don't want to become health coaches. That's not what they set out to be. Neither did I. I was never at home as a young boy just dreaming about what I wanted to be, do, and have in life and go, you know what, health coaching sounds like the career of choosing. But once I found out what it was and I began to learn more about why people did it, that's what got me excited to explore it. Donnie, talk a little bit about the few reasons of why people explore health coaching as an opportunity.
Well, I just wanted to say, you're talking about being a little boy at home, thinking about what you want to be when you grow up. And, I have 6-year-old twins, and I have a little girl that she wants to be oh my goodness, I just drew a blank here, musketeer. She wants to be a musketeer when she grows up. And when I ask her why she wants to be a musketeer, she tells me that she wants to help people. And so I'm thinking, oh, she wants to be a nurse. No, she wants to be a health coach. No, it's like, no, she wants to be a lawyer. No, maybe she wants to be a police officer. It doesn't matter. The point is that what's in her little heart is she wants to help people, And I do believe that a lot of us did sit at home and think, I want to help people, and when you went into nursing school, that's a lot of work. And we did it because we not necessarily maybe wanted to be a nurse, but we wanted to help people. And, as Elizabeth was talking about, sometimes that there's a disconnect between what we had hoped we were going to do and what we're actually doing. And that whole art and science of nursing gets lost. But your question was, why is it that people then decide to go into health coaching if they didn't sit at home dreaming about it? Well, because they want flexibility, right? They want that purpose. They want to help people. They want the income. They want balance, right? So those are some of the things that people that are interested in health coaching are looking for. Maybe they want a retirement, something to do in retirement. We heard Norma talking about how she retired from nursing and then she discovered health coaching. So there's many different things that people are looking for when they decide that health coaching is a fit for what they're looking for.
Yeah, and as Elizabeth said earlier, is that she was an entrepreneur before she was a nurse. It just so happened that the entrepreneurship necessarily came out after she became a nurse, and after 4 years of nursing, she really got that gusto to say, I know what I want. And that's oftentimes why people join into the nurse's health coaching role, is because they want to monetize one of their dreams. Maybe they want to be in podcasting, or they want to be a blogger, or they want to do things that is around speaking. I get a lot of people that say, I've always wanted to be a speaker or a teacher, and I just haven't found the career where I can do that and still make the income that I'm making as a nurse. So this provides a great opportunity to create very sustainable, consistent income, and to do it in a flexible work environment so that you can go pursue those passions that are really at the deepest end of your heart.
Right. I knew of somebody that actually wanted to have a bookstore on the beach. That was her, that's her life goal. And yet she needed something to monetize. She was a nurse and she wanted to have this bookstore on the beach, and health coaching was a fit to help monetize so that she can move towards that goal.
Yeah, well, Donna, we have a few nurse health coaches with us today. Why don't we throw it out to a couple of them? Todd and Norma are here. Why don't we have them share why they decided to join into health coaching?
Todd?
Yeah, the reason why I decided to become a health coach was, I liked the business entrepreneur aspect of it, and basically kind of being my own boss. I didn't want to be tied into long shifts, trading dollars for hours, and, kind of being stuck in a management gridlock in some of the challenges in healthcare. So, and being able to, I went into sales after I got burned out. I did some medical device sales, which was hard to get into for a nurse. You'd think it'd be easy. But I started doing clinical education first in a company, and it was, there was just a lot of gridlock, and, nurses would tell me all the time, like, how do you get such a cool job? How do you do this? And I'm like, well, you could do this, and you could try this. And they just really didn't know. They just felt very stuck, and I felt stuck too. But I had the idea I like to be able to make some income, some good income.
Yeah.
That's great. Norma, how about your story? What made you decide to go into health coaching?
The success that I had in improving my own health.
Norma, I'm sorry, you were muted, so I.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know.
I gotta say that again. Okay. Initially, I was just so excited. I was not in good health when I retired, and I knew I had to make some changes, so I did. And as I got healthier, I thought, I really have to help other people do the same thing. So it was really just based on what had happened with me. Yeah. And a lot of life happened over those few years after retirement with family and so as far as the coaching, it was what I made of it. Sometimes it was busy and exciting and hectic. Other times I had to back off for whatever reason, and I could back off. And so I had control of the business. Yeah. And it suited my phase of life. So I retired actually in 2009. I sold my house and moved to this delightful little nest of mine in 2012. And in the last 2 or 3 years, I've gotten to the place where I'm comfortable and relaxed and just able to, the passion for sharing with other people has become such a part of me that I'm making friends and meeting new people, and it's become a natural way to share what has been real in my life.
It's a great way to stay plugged in too after retirement, to be able to be plugged into a community. And here you are in an encore career. Yeah. There's 10,000 people that turn 65 years of age every day. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are not ready to retire. They want to refire themselves. Talk about burnout, as Elizabeth was talking about earlier. Norma's getting fired up. You can see the smile on her face for being able to be plugged in and helping people.
Yeah.
Well, we also have another person that's on the phone. Matt Abear is a former Army recruiter, and he's married to a nurse. And they are doing the health coaching thing together like a team environment. And maybe, Matt, if you could press, I'll have Donnie take you off of mute. But talk about how you and your wife, Marlise, are working together to partner up in getting people healthier.
Which one? Okay, 951?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So y'all can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Great to be here. So with her being a nurse, and not just being a nurse, she also teaches nursing at a college, and she's in the middle of pursuing her her FNP, and me being, retired Army, former recruiter. I think both our skill sets really complement each other, because there's parts of this is a very comprehensive program, and I really understand the fitness aspect, being in the Army for 22 years and spending a lot of time in the gym and training folks. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't understand on the medical side that she is able to help me with, and vice versa with my skill set, being able to, just approach anybody and talk to them about anything under their sun, helps me to expand the business that we're building together. So that's
great.
That's kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah, so you've got people in all ages of the spectrum. You've got Donnie with young, small kids. You've got Norma, who's retired. You've got Todd, who comes out of nursing and into medical sales. You've got me, a former professional athlete with no nursing background. I'm a recovering fat guy, and I was able to figure it all out. So my goodness, if I can do it, I'm sure all of the nurses that are watching live tonight or watching the recording could figure it out as well. Don't you think, Donnie?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the big questions that I get from nurses all the time is, what do I have to do to go into wellness? And there's many different ways that you can get into the wellness industry, right? You can get a job in wellness. or you can start a business in wellness. And if you wanted to get a job in wellness and you look for a job, most often they require that you either be a nurse or a nutritionist. And currently, health coaching is not a regulated field, which simply means that there's no licensure or, a standardized certification that's required. And yet what a lot of these employers are looking for are nurses. And the reason why is because they know that nurses are already qualified. And therefore, for the nurses that ask, what do I need to do to become a health coach? Well, you already are a health coach. I was talking to a nurse practitioner today that she became a family nurse practitioner, but now she works in endocrinology. And I asked her, did you go to school for endocrine? She said no. She went to school to become a family nurse practitioner. And it just so happens that the skills that she developed and the training that she got is transferable. Most of us are, started out as nurses, and, I worked in oncology, and Elizabeth worked in psych, and, we all went to nursing school, right? We all got passed the same NCLEX. And so what basically we proved when we passed the NCLEX is that we're competent. We can help people get from here to there. That's what the nursing model is all about, getting people from here to there. And that is what a health coach does. So you don't need any special training. You do need an orientation. Just as if I went into psych, oh my goodness, I would need a special orientation, but I wouldn't have to go back to school for it. I would not have to go back and do my NCLEX. And so when I went into health coaching, I needed an orientation. The whole idea of running my own business, I needed some mentorship, but there's no extra schooling that's absolutely required.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the model that we use for health coaching. There are lots of different models that you can use. One of them being that you can actually go and you can get not just an orientation, but you can get 6 months worth of courses, and you can get a credential of some sort. Doesn't really mean a whole lot in the marketplace, but you can become a credentialed, trained, certified health coach, and you can actually be taught some business principles, and it may cost you somewhere in the ballpark of $4,000 to $6,000 or more. The business model that we use in terms of the mentoring model is that we actually have a mentorship system where you actually earn while you learn. So you're not completely responsible for your client's care. You actually have a team of mentorship support coaches that are actually working alongside of you with your clients so that you're actually learning and watching how health coaching is being done. And you're also going through the process yourself. You're actually improving your own health. And we like to say in Nursing Outside the Box that self-care is much more valuable than healthcare. And when you are in process of taking care of your own health, you can become more accountable to yourself and to the goals that you've set for yourself, because now you're actually coaching others and leading them to better health, and you're learning how to do it while you're on your own journey.
I'm sorry, David.
50 lashes with the wet noodle. You're in trouble. Talk about the business mentoring aspect of it and what it's given you in terms of a process to follow and a system that's very predictable.
Well, that's what I was just going to say is that, coming from that nursing mindset, when we're in nursing school, they teach us absolutely everything we need to know from A to Z, and when we go into practice, we use this much of it for whatever specialty that we end up going into, and then we have to end up kind of almost relearning it because now we're focusing. But they teach us everything under the sun, and that's why nurses can transfer their skills, because we learn so much. But within our model, it's different because we already know that you've got the skills, and so now you just need that orientation. And so instead of you going to school and learning everything that you need to know and then having to relearn it when you have to apply it, you learn what you need as you need it. And it's just more efficient that way. Isn't it interesting that part of the whole burnout thing was the efficacy, right? Mm-hmm. So if we focus in on what it is that we're actually wanting to do and doing that thing, then it increases our job satisfaction. And so in my particular situation, I never thought that I wanted to run my own business. So I knew nothing about running a business. And so knowing that I had that kind of support and somebody that can guide me through, and kind of getting involved with a plug and play system was crucial to me getting to the point where I could make this my full-time income. where if it was my full-time income, I had the flexibility and I had the balance that I was looking for.
Yeah. And you can find, lots of different business coaches and business mentors out there that you can pay to coach you on developing your own business. You can also put yourself into environments where there's a group of people that are doing it. And that's what we're building within our nurse health coaching community. I'd like to throw it back to Elizabeth and have her just share, you do a lot of podcasts, you interview a lot of experts. Maybe you could share a little bit more of your perspective of these emerging trends of wellness and these outside the box opportunities, and how it's such a great time for nurses to really stretch themselves and chase that dream.
That's a great question. And, as I've been here, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, maybe I didn't meet Donnie at NMBA. Maybe I met her at the Holistic Nurse Association. And I'm like, gosh, which one was it? Because the Holistic Nurse Association is all about self-care. And I think that with care moving out of hospitals into community, there just are more and more nurses who are looking to use the skills that we wrote down in our exercise, as Donnie was pointing out, like the wants, like what do we want to do in our job? Those are really our values. And if you're not finding that as an employee, and maybe you are, but maybe you just want a little bit something additional, like we're talking about supplementing income or having a hobby or something fun on the side. So yes, David's right. I do interview lots of people on the podcast and just people across the country. And I think what's interesting, the similarity is, as a nurse, and I heard someone say this earlier, I don't remember who, but we create like that healing environment. We create the space for the person, the client, the patient to make that healthy decision, to say, oh, aha, like if I drink more water, that would be better than drinking soda, so I think that just as a nurse, you set up that healing environment. And so I think it is a great similarity or like symbiotic relationship to take nursing and coaching and make it one thing.
Yeah. And that's, this business model of health coaching, it's not for everyone, but it's definitely worth exploring if you like people, if you like to encourage people, if you like health, if you want to get healthier personally. It's definitely worth considering, even if you don't feel like you know it all. I was a guy that did not know much about health at all, but I started getting healthier myself. Like I say, I'm a recovering fat guy, but I started the journey at 100 pounds overweight. And about halfway into that journey, my friends started noticing and they started asking me what I was doing. So I referred them to my health coach. And after I saw what my health coach was doing, and that health coach said, Dave, would you like to help some of your friends to get healthy? I thought, that looks kind of fun. Even though I didn't know what I was doing, I still stepped into the opportunity, and it's become an amazing, amazing business and amazing business career that I don't ever see ending. And when you're building a business that works because the business model works, not because you work 12-hour shifts without going potty, it becomes very enticing to want to continue to do it. Donnie, any other final thoughts before we throw it open and ask for questions?
Well, just in that whole vein of trading dollars for hours for dollars, right? There's different ways that people can get involved in health coaching, as we talked about. They can either find a job, right? Or they can start their own business and kind of start from scratch. They can try to bill insurance companies, and insurance companies will pay for chronic disease management. I think it's something like maybe $48 a month for a total of maybe 20 minutes a month of actual interaction with your clients. You do have to be an advanced practice nurse to be able to be credentialed with insurance companies. But when you stop and think about it, if you're looking, depending on how much income you're looking to make, $48 per client, not a lot, And so you'd be working a lot of hours to generate the kind of income that you want if you decided to go that route. That is an option. That is an option that's available to people. There's the option of just billing your clients, self-pay. That's another option. The challenge with the beauty of self-pay is that you can choose how much you want to charge, right? The challenge with that is that you have to find people that are willing to pay what you choose. And that is with business, that's just the way it is. I believe that the services of a health coach are so essential and so needed today. There's an epidemic going out there of chronic disease, obesity, and when it comes to lifestyle, these services are so needed. And if we put a price tag on it, then all of a sudden we limit access. And if we're talking about accessibility to care, then how do we do that? And what I love about our model is that it makes these services that are so essential and so valuable accessible, because they're just part of already their budget, you know? So I'm able to do something that I love. It creates a win-win-win model, right? I'm able to do something I absolutely love. I'm able to help people do something that they never imagined possible without really affecting their budget, and while allowing me to stay home and keeping my lights on and paying my bills. And so it's a win-win-win model. But that's all I wanted to say before we open it up.
Great.
Any questions?
Yeah, does anybody have any questions? Todd, did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something too. The one thing I've learned too, and which I like about the model that we do, is, you know, there's not a lot of extra educational requirements. I find that when I talk to nurses, they want to like educate themselves out of their burnout. So they're like, let me get an advanced degree so I could do something that I won't be burned out, but it's like another layer of burnout at a different level. I call it kind of like educating out of my misery, you know? So,
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
So, you know, and that's the great thing about the model that we utilize here, which is good. And I've been talking to some nurses about it as well, so it's great.
Yeah, and I'm going to dovetail on that, because I also know that what we were talking about with Elizabeth, and if you just joined us, you want to watch the recording of this, Elizabeth does some great coaching on how to uncover some of the things that you're really passionate on. But just in terms of people that are in that burnout category, this can actually become a personal development and a professional development model, not necessarily just education. There's great education on how to become an expert health coach. You can really master your craft, but while you're mastering your craft, you can master yourself. And that's one of the toughest things, and no school classes, no educational degrees are currently offering self-mastery. It's something that you have to enroll in yourself, and this health coaching model will help you wherever you're at. Some of us have deeper issues that need to be resolved before we can become the best version of ourselves. But over the last 8 years of coaching, I've become a better human being as a part of that. And that wasn't because I went to school. It was because I started coaching a few other people, and I began to see some of the areas that I needed to go to work on myself.
Absolutely.
Any other questions about health coaching? Even some of you veteran coaches, if you have a question that you think would be appropriate for other participants or viewers of the recording, throw a question out there of what you think nurses need to know to get answered to move them forward towards wellness. Who joined us from the car over there in the Samsung Galaxy? Maybe we can unmute her, Donnie, and she can speak.
Unmuted.
In the car, we see you in the seat belt. Who's there? It's quiet tonight. All right. Well, Jessica, did you want to ask a question? Make sure you unmute yourself first.
Oh, I'm unmuted. I didn't know. I just wanted to listen in, and I did read a little bit on your book, and I just was going to do a little more reading, and I think there's the recorded version because I came in a little late. But yeah,
What's your most pressing question, Jessica, if you wouldn't mind? What's your most pressing question about health coaching? Like, what got you to the point where you're like, this seems interesting?
Well, I'm an advanced practice nurse, and I just kind of feel like I'm beating my head with people, not getting anywhere, always throwing medicine at them to fix this or to help with this or that, and I feel like that's not the way to go. I mean, maybe it's not working. So obviously it's time to try something different. And I think that, I have rapport with a lot of my patients, and maybe if I, went at it a different way, they would get better results, and be healthier. So that's kind of why I'm interested in the whole health coaching aspect. I think that we're kind of shifting to more integrative approach. And I think it's kind of the way I think that we're too quick to give medicines for everything. And I don't know, I'm at a point in my career where, I'm tired of telling the same diabetics every 3 months that they needed, you need to do this or that, or here's some medicine, and getting no results because they don't have the tools. They don't have that person coaching them along, like, okay, let's try this, or, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at and why I'm interested in this. And it's not all about weight loss. It's about being healthy and being the best version of us. And I want to help people. I
can totally identify with where you're at, because I too struggle with some of those same feelings. But it's not necessarily about patients and medications. It's more about nurses who don't follow their dreams, and they don't take action on things that they know that they really want to do, but they just don't want to do. And I think that patients are oftentimes very similar to that. They're just scared. They just need a system they can be guided on, and they need that encouragement, just like nurses need that encouragement to take that next step. And so if I could give a recommendation, then I'll throw it over to Donnie to wrap it up. But one of the things that I would ask patients, if you have the authority to do so, is to ask the question, if I could show you a way where you could end up creating a healthier version of you, would you be interested in hearing it? Because a person that's not interested in apple pie doesn't really want the recipe for apple pie. No pun intended on But if a person doesn't want to create a healthy version of themselves, if they're not open to the idea, because some patients, they're not ready for change. And then there's those patients that are, and then there's those family members that are, and there's the friends that are. But I've learned that it's not so much about telling people what to do. It's more about asking people, what do you want to do? And are you open to exploring it? And then making the connection back to a person that can take care of them, whether it's you or whether it's Donnie or a referral partner of some sort. But that's where I see a lot of transformation happening. And we see patients, diabetics, coming off of medication every single day. That's one of the most empowering things, or what the efficacy that Elizabeth was talking about in Burnout, is that nurses are becoming more passionate because they're actually seeing their patients and their family members and their friends getting healthier, and that makes them feel empowered to go out there and do what they felt called to do.
Yeah. No, and that's yeah, definitely. No, I think that's the approach that I am ready to start taking. So
great. Well, we'll send you some more information on the health coaching opportunity. Donnie, you want to wrap us up tonight?
Yes, well, thank you everybody for joining us. The reason that we wrote this book is because we really wanted to open up nurses' minds. It started with nursing outside the box. Let's just peek outside the box and see, is it possible to do what I love and make a living with it and have flexibility and is it even possible? And if you've joined us in Nursing Outside the Box, we have a list of over 77 ideas of different things that you can do. What we want to do is we want to empower you to have the life that you want. It just so happens that health coaching is the way that we found. And so we're really able to help people with that one way. And the whole idea of health coaching is completely outside the box because, oh my goodness, we're doing it without medication. Oh my goodness, we can do it from home. All of these things that go against the grain of what we think healthcare is supposed to be. But healthcare is not working, right? And because it's not working, it's draining us. I hear it every single day. I love being a nurse, but I love being a nurse, but. And so we put this book together to really let nurses know about this option, because I know I didn't know about health coaching 5 years ago, and I spent 16 years of my career looking for it, not realizing that that's what I was looking for. And so we hope that we can shorten that duration of what you're looking for. If you're looking for purpose, if you're looking for flexibility and balance, I encourage you to check it out. It might be what you're looking for. But we want to thank you all for joining us tonight. And, please get back in touch with whoever invited you today so that we can make sure to answer any other questions that might come up.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night.
Thanks, guys. It's great.